What's going on, guys? I'm Zach from the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about the things that you need to know for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We're a week out now. We've talked about why we should get excited and all, but we got to get serious now. We have to know what we need to know going into these games, and that begins with the obvious, the thing that keeps shoving down our throat, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that because every open world game does this. The game's open world. This means that at the very beginning, you can go up to the area where the Pokemon are going to be in their 50s or 60s, however much they may be. You're going to be able to do anything in any order, go wherever you want in any order. It's not limited by story like past Pokemon games have been. I mean, even Pokemon Legends Arceus, that was kind of our closest look at an open world game. Even that, you had to kind of reach certain checkpoints to be able to go, from the Obsidian Fieldlands to the Crimson Mirelands, right? And then so on and so forth. Well, this one, it's not like that. Wherever you want, whenever you want. Now, the next thing kind of ties into this, and that is the gyms and how that's going to work. Well, first off, there are not just gyms in this game. Normally in a Pokemon game, that's the whole goal, right? You beat all the gyms, then you beat the Elite Four, then you beat the champion. Boom, game over. Not in this game. In this game, it is called the Treasure Hunt, and it has 3 parts. One part is called Victory Road, and that is your 8 gyms that you're going to travel throughout the region to and battle and beat, and there is some kind of champion assessment at the end. But there's also 2 other plots. One is the Path of Legends, and this is going to be you helping the character Arven as he tries to find Herba Mystica, which is some plant thing. I'm sure it's more important than that, but yeah. And you're going to be taking on Titan Pokemon, which are going to be much more similar to Totem Pokemon or Alphas or Nobles in terms of strength and size, but not Nobles in terms of like you're going to be fighting them, like having to dodge attacks and throw bombs at them. Not like that, but still very much a big deal, right? Now, then there is also going to be Starfall Street. Starfall Street is the kind of villain team, how they're incorporated in, and this allows you to use the Let's Go feature as you raid their base, and you have a time limit, and you're going to be having these 3 Pokemon just run around and beat their opponents. It's 3 of your Pokemon, and if you kind of can make it to the end in the time limit, then the big boss will appear, and they'll appear on this big car or whatever, and you can battle them, and the car will apparently get in the way and all that. The Starmobile is what it's called. So it's going to be a lot of fun, all 3 of those stories. Now, something you need to know about them is while they can be done in any order, so you can go and take on any of the gyms in any order you want, any of Starfall Street, any order you want, any of the Path of Legends, any order you want. But the counterpoint here is that the levels will not scale. So if you take on one of the gyms right from the beginning, it might be the gym that's kind of intended to be the last gym, right? Like it might be the one with Pokemon in their level 50s or whatever, right? So keep that in mind when you go through your open world journey. Now, the next thing is going to be that this game is going to have more version differences than past Pokemon game. And I don't mean version exclusive Pokemon. I mean version differences. First off, you will be having a completely different professor based off of the version of the game that you were picking. So that is very different. You're going to be attending a different school. Naranja Academy if you're choosing Scarlet, and your professor will be Professor Sada. The Uva Academy, and your professor will be Professor Toro if you pick Violet. Also, you get Koraidon in Scarlet, Miraidon in Violet. That's not too surprising. That's standard Pokemon game stuff. But this will be the Pokemon that you're riding throughout the game. So if you were perhaps kind of wondering what game you should pick based off the version exclusives, because we do know some version exclusive mons like Armarouge and Ceruledge, if you're trying to figure it out based on that, I would base it around which of these outfits you like better, because you're going to be stuck with the orange pants and orange tie if you pick Scarlet, and the purple pants and purple tie if you pick Violet, which of these 2 legendaries you like the most, because that's going to be the one you're riding all the time, and that kind of detail. I wouldn't worry about the Pokemon in that decision, because you can always get those via trade, right? But that's just my cup of tea. You pick the version that you want to pick based off whatever reasons you want to pick it. Now, this is kind of important for especially competitive battlers. I have a very, very strong interest in competitive battling, so this is a big deal to me. Breeding is a little bit different in this game. There's no longer daycares. There is going to be a feature called the picnics, and it's where you're just sitting around with your Pokemon, hanging out, having a picnic. You can make sandwiches, wash them, all this, and you can look in the picnic basket and occasionally find an egg. Now, this was super confusing when they first explained this. However, we have gotten some clarification on it, because some people have the game early, so don't worry, not any major story spoilers, just spoilers on how this picnic mechanic will work. It's basically a mobile daycare. You have to still have a compatible Pokemon, right? Like, I can't walk in there with like a Pikachu and a Magneton and expect an egg. No, I've got to have compatible Pokemon, like a Ditto and a Pikachu, or whatever have you, a Skitty and a Wailord. That's a real one. Look it up. I think most people know that, but if you don't believe me, look it up. It's real. But it's also going to be much more passive, this one. You're not going to have to walk around to try and get an egg. You can go into the picnic feature with 2 compatible Pokemon and go make you some breakfast and come back and boom, you'll have an egg. You don't have to be walking around, so it's much more passive, which is really nice, to say the least. That's really, really nice. So the next thing is going to be that home is going to be compatible with this game. So any Pokemon that you catch in this game, you will be able to transfer to Pokemon Home, and any Pokemon from Pokemon Home that is compatible with this game will be able to transfer into Scarlet and Violet. So what I mean by that is that there are some Pokemon that may not be in the coding for Pokemon Home. Like, for example, in Sword and Shield, obviously there was this Dex cut, so I could not send an Infernape into Sword and Shield. But even though it wasn't in the Pokedex, I could send in a Solgaleo into Sword and Shield. So there's going to be a similar thing here. Now, just so you're aware, Pokemon Home is not going to come out until spring 2023, they've announced. So it's going to be a bit, but we can expect to see Hisuian forms and Hisuian Mons come in, I'm sure, and some other cool stuff, I am sure. Now, the next thing is going to be about the Terrestrial gimmick and how it works. So the Terrestrial gimmick is you can change your Pokemon's typing on a whim, and it gives it an extra stat boost. If you want a big dive into this, then you can check it out in this video. I highly recommend it. I think I did a good job explaining it. So yeah, because there's been a lot of confusion surrounding this, so that video fully breaks it down. We're not going to do that here because we're already at over 8 minutes. Now, we also have the Terra raids, and these are obviously the equivalent to the max raids from Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's how you get Pokemon, and it's how you get Pokemon with a special Terra type. So, like, for example, normally in the overworld, when I encounter a wild Jigglypuff, it'll be a normal Terra type or a Fairy Terra type, because Jigglypuff is normal Fairy. However, using these Terra raids, I can find a Jigglypuff that perhaps has a Water Terra type or something like that. Now, next, you need to know that multiplayer is a lot better than Sword and Shield. It's not these random little kind of glitchy people running around. You can actually very much see people running around and kind of interact with them in a way, take pictures with them, race them on your Koraidon, Miraidon, whatever you want to do with them. But the catch is, it is only 4 people. You connect via the Union Circle, it's only going to be 4 people or less. You can do 3 or 2 if that's all you got in your little group that you're in. But that is going to be how the multiplayer works. It's a max of 4 people, but it's so much better than Sword and Shields. They don't really feel like glorified NPCs, you know? Now, we also have the Let's Go feature. Mentioned this briefly with Starfall Street, but the Let's Go feature allows you to kind of just passively take out Pokemon as you go along. In this game, there's something called the TM machine, the technical machine, and that is how you get TMs in this game. But you have to make the TMs using items you get from Pokemon. Like we've seen, when a Litleo is defeated, you get a Litleo Tough. So Let's Go is a really, really good way to farm this kind of stuff. I can just run out into the open world and just send out my Quaxley and have him just go and beat a nearby Pokemon so that I pick up, you know, the items from that Pokemon and then can go make some TMs. So that's really, really nice. However, the catch is, if your Quaxley finds a shiny, I don't know, Palmy, it will beat it. It won't stop. It won't alert you that there's a shiny Palmy there. It will beat that shiny, and that shiny will die, and you will lose that shiny. So keep that in mind when using the Let's Go feature. So next is going to be some quality of life features. So there is way further customization in this game, like more than we have ever seen. I mean, you can do haircuts in any ways. The only thing that's kind of a little different is you are kind of basically wearing a school uniform. You can modify it a lot, but like there's no dresses and no skirts. However, there is, like I said, a lot of changes to like hair color, even like the style of like your eyes, I guess, and just a lot of facial features, skin tone obviously. But yeah, that's very, very exciting. So there you have it, guys. Those are 10 huge things that are coming into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that I feel you need to know about before you play these games. If you have anything else that you think people should know that is not major plot spoilers, please drop it below. Also, please don't spoil any Pokemon, or if you do, at least put a spoiler warning, because that's just common decency, right? I know the entire game's leaked at this point. I'm looking at it too, guys, but not everybody wants to see that, so let's try to be respectful of that. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you stay up to date on all of our future Pokemon videos, including, obviously, a ton of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet stuff. Have some really cool stuff planned for when these games hit the shelves, and I'm very excited to show that off to you all. So again, you don't want to miss that. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Until next time, I will see all of you later.